Cooking black bear. I am mostly noted for my book Backyard Deer Hunting, which contains low-cost and inexpensive methods of cooking wild game. Now this video on black bear is one of those.
Black bear has a poor reputation as a table meat except for some very select cuts. Now the reason for this is that most people just frankly do not cook it long enough. Black bear, particularly meat from the shoulder and tendon-rich meat on the leg, requires a lot of cooking and is actually best done with a pressure cooker, such as here. Now, this is an old pressure cooker, older than most of you are, I suspect, and yes, even this will cook black bear very, very well. And this is the recommended method. So take the meat from shoulders and shanks of black bear and you cut it in about 1-inch chunks and you make a stew. Use exactly the same recipe that I have a previous video on about making deer stew, except you substitute bear meat. Now what the result is you have chunks of very tender bear meat here, carrots, potatoes, and I cook in olive oil and I flour the meat and have considerable onions, always onions in here, so you have a good, meaty, rich stew that is indeed quite tasty. Now folks, that's good. Nothing wrong with this stew at all. Even the meat, as you see, just cuts apart with the fork or the spoon. That is fine. So this is basically what you do with black bear. You just cook it enough. Anything done rapidly with wild game meat is usually a mistake. Wild game meat just cannot be cooked like you cook beef or like you cook domestic pork for the most part. Now, what to serve with it? This meat has some taste. It tastes like a good, rich roast beef. So, a Merlot like this does very well. Oak Leaf here has one, less than $4 a bottle. Wow, that's pretty cheap. And it's good wine. Now a wheat bread with a little cheese on it and seasonings, and also a squash. So this makes a good meal with an interesting variety of taste. Now when you cook black bear, you really want something with some strong flavors to go with it. So this particular meal does very well, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to enjoy myself a nice dinner. But don't disregard your black bear meat, because it indeed can make some very tasty creations without taking all day and all night and requiring a lot of whole special stuff to do it. Simple cooking. Just cook it long enough.
The details of my recipes can be found in my books Backyard Deer Hunting, Crossbow Hunting, and also on the e-zine Hunting Fitness. A series of my recipes is going to be published in that magazine, which is published 6 times a year. So you'll be able to get them there. Now I also have videos, and I have a particular video showing the details of cooking deer stew, which requires browning the meat. I put a little dill weed on my deer meat, and so that does very, very well. Now you can also hear my recipes on my radio shows. The active one right now is Hovey's Outdoor Adventures. And all of these can be accessed from my website, www.hoveysmith.com.